Did you know that something as simple as a hand cream or a keychain can ruin your entire trip? Many travelers arrive at the airport feeling confident until they see their suitcase being taken to a dark corner by security agents. The reason? They packed something they shouldn't have. Today we're going to reveal the things you should never bring in your carry-on bag, even if they seem completely harmless, because a small mistake can cost you anything from a fine to missing your flight. And no, we're not just talking about knives or dangerous liquids. There are everyday items that would surprise you to learn are actually prohibited. So buckle up and pay close attention, because this is going to save you from a really bad experience right when you're most excited to travel. When you're about to travel, packing can feel like a ritual. You pull out your suitcase, fold your clothes, pick out your shoes, and start packing everything you think you'll need without giving it much thought. But this is where many travelers make their first big mistake, not really understanding what a carry-on bag is and why it's so closely monitored. A carry-on bag isn't just a simple bag you bring along for convenience. In many ways, it's an extension of airport security control. Everything that goes through there has to be inspectable, visible, legal, and above all, must not pose any kind of risk, no matter how small it may seem. And yet, it's common to see people stuffing their carry-on luggage as if it were their personal closet. What they don't realize is that, in the eyes of airport security, that bag represents a potential vulnerability. That's why airlines and airports enforce strict rules that allow for no excuses or explanations. If something can't be brought on board, it stays behind, or worse, you stay behind. Now then, here comes another common source of confusion. Many people don't distinguish between the three types of luggage: checked baggage, carry-on luggage, and personal items. And even though it sounds technical, understanding this difference can be the line between a smooth trip and total chaos. Checked baggage is that large suitcase you hand over at the counter, which goes straight into the plane's cargo hold. No one checks it with you right then and there, but it can still be subject to internal inspections. Here, you can pack large liquids, tools, even heavier items. But if you go over the weight limit, you pay. Carry-on luggage, on the other hand, is that small suitcase you bring with you into the cabin. And even though many people think that because it's theirs they can bring whatever they want, they're completely mistaken. There are more than 100 items prohibited in this type of luggage, and the consequences can range from having them confiscated to being denied boarding the plane. Finally, there's the personal item, like a backpack, purse, or handbag. This one goes under the seat in front of you. It's the smallest of all, but also the most important when it comes to documents, medications, or devices you need to have with you at all times. And now that you understand why carry-on luggage is such a sensitive issue, let's move on to what can really get you into trouble. Picture this: you arrive at the airport early, feeling calm having checked in online, your bag meets size requirements, everything seems under control. Until you go through the scanner, the security agent looks at you, frowns, and sets your bag aside. Is this yours? That's when something ordinary turns into a problem. Most travelers don't get in trouble for carrying illegal items, but for trusting too much in the everyday things. Objects we use every day that aren't dangerous until they are at an airport. The case of liquids, creams, and gels. This one's a classic. A lot of people pack bathroom routine as if going to a sleepover. Shampoo, sunscreen, perfume, moisturizer, toothpaste, hair gel in regular containers. But here comes the golden rule. No liquid can exceed 100 milliliters and all must be in a transparent, resealable bag with a maximum capacity of 1 liter. Does that seem over the top to you? Maybe. Is it mandatory? Absolutely. Food. Can I bring it or not? Here's where things get tricky. Solid foods, like cookies, sandwiches, or fruit, are usually allowed, but creamy, liquid, or paste-like foods are not. That includes jams, spreadable cheese, sauces, soups, yogurts, and anything that looks more like a chemistry experiment than a snack. Medications, yes, but with conditions. Liquid medications can get through security, but you need a prescription if they exceed 100 milliliters or if they're for special use. Many agents will let you bring them if they're clearly necessary, like insulin or eye drops, but if you're unsure, it's best to check with the airline before you travel. A small object, a big problem. Once, a passenger was stopped for carrying a corkscrew in her toiletry bag. She didn't remember it. She had left it there from a previous trip, but it was enough for them to open her entire suitcase, question her, and make her miss her flight. Nowadays, traveling without electronic devices is almost unthinkable. Phones, laptops, cameras, and handheld consoles are as much a part of our luggage as our underwear. But be careful. Carrying them in your carry-on bag doesn't guarantee you'll get through security without a problem, because it's not just about whether you can bring them, but how you bring them. Let's get straight to the point. These are the electronic devices you can bring in your carry-on bag. Cell phones, laptops, tablets, photo and video cameras, e-readers like Kindle, handheld consoles like Switch or Steam Deck, electric toothbrushes or shavers, cables, chargers, and headphones. But when it's time for screening, you need to take them out and place them separately in the trays. If you don't, it's very likely your luggage will be flagged for a manual inspection. This is one of the most common mistakes, carrying lithium batteries that are improperly packed, discharged, or too powerful. Power banks are allowed, but they must meet these conditions. They must have a capacity of less than 100 watt-hours. They must go in your carry-on luggage, not in your checked baggage. They should not be completely discharged or damaged. And please, never carry loose batteries without protection. There are documented cases of fires caused by that kind of carelessness, literally. And what about electronic cigarettes or vapes? Yes, you can bring them, but they must go in your carry-on bag, never in your checked luggage, and their liquids must follow the 100 milliliter rule. Many travelers get complacent and just toss them in their bag, until they're stopped for not having declared them properly. Also, you can't use them on the plane, no matter how long the flight is. Doing so could get you a fine, a penalty, or even land you on an airline blacklist. A traveler had been planning his trip to Dubai for months. One of his dreams was to film with his drone in the desert and among the skyscrapers. He packed it carefully, with its batteries in order and all the paperwork printed out. But when he arrived at the airport, he was met with an unpleasant surprise. Emirates did not allow drones in the cabin. Even though he had everything in order, he had to check the drone as luggage and never saw it again. It disappeared. What was the problem? It wasn't the drone itself, but the lack of coordination between the country's policy, the airline, and the airport. It doesn't matter how many times you've traveled. It doesn't matter if you're in first class or have a promotional ticket. There's a mistake that keeps happening among all kinds of passengers, putting important documents in your carry-on bag. And it sounds logical at first, right? If the bag is with you the whole time, why not put your passport, your cards, even your money in there? What you don't know is that at the airport, thieves are also on the lookout. Watch the video on our channel about how airport thieves choose their victims, and you'll understand why theory crashes into reality. Carry-on bags, no matter how small, aren't always under your control. If the flight is full, the airline might make you check it at the gate. And right there, in seconds, you lose access to everything that was inside. Now imagine that inside were your passport, your visa, your boarding pass, your ID, your credit cards, and the cash for your trip. A disaster waiting to happen. Even worse, there are documented cases of people who got off the plane in another country without their documents, unable to enter legally, unable to explain their situation, literally trapped in a transit lounge, waiting for help that could take hours or even days. The golden rule for traveling with documents: everything that proves who you are, where you're going, and how you're paying for your trip must be with you physically, in a fanny pack, money belt, security pouch, or even a crossbody document holder, but never loose in your carry-on bag. Some passengers pack as if they're going camping, others as if they're about to fix a bathroom, and others as if they're heading to an international sports tournament. The problem? Many of those items that seem completely normal at home become suspicious at a security checkpoint. And when it comes to air security, there's no room for gray areas. These are some of the tools that are prohibited in your carry-on luggage: knives, scissors with blades longer than 6 centimeters, screwdrivers, pliers, hammers, adjustable wrenches, pipe wrenches. Any object that could be used to force locks or break structures. Even if they're small or commonly used tools, the airport's logic is simple. If it can be used as a weapon or a threat, it stays behind. And watch out for corkscrews. Yes, the ones for wine. They've caused detentions, confiscations, and embarrassing moments in front of other passengers. Many athletes think they can bring their equipment into cabins so it's not lost. But it turns out there's a huge list of sports items that are banned from carry-on luggage: golf clubs, baseball bats, hockey sticks, kayak paddles, fishing rods, pool cues, squash or paddle rackets, ice skates, martial arts equipment like nunchucks, batons, or sticks. Basically, anything that could be used as a blunt weapon. Did you think a simple racket was harmless? Not if you use it like a club in the middle of the cabin. Even mountain crampons, ice axes, and hiking poles are completely banned. This part is crucial. Something doesn't have to be dangerous to look dangerous. Toys shaped like guns, replica weapons, souvenirs with sharp edges, even canes with metal tips can get you a thorough inspection, even if they're made of plastic. And if the security officer thinks there might be a risk, not only will they take the item away, they might also make you miss your flight while they question you. You also can't bring large lighters or torch lighters, large amounts of hand sanitizer, fuels, paint, solvents, flares, camping gas, butane cartridges, portable oxygen, or industrial or sports aerosols, not even if they're new or sealed. In the cabin, anything that can catch fire or react chemically is prohibited. We've reached the point where information becomes power, because now that you know what not to bring in your carry-on, it's time to talk about what you should do to avoid any drama at the airport and travel like a true expert. And no, it's not just about packing neatly. It's about staying ahead of the chaos, thinking like the security agents, and only bringing what's essential, necessary, and allowed. First, start with the right mindset. Less is more. Every item you put in your bag should pass a very simple test. Will I need this during the flight or right when I arrive? If the answer is no, leave it in your checked luggage. The cabin isn't for storing things, just in case. It's for quick and safe access to the essentials. And remember, the emptier your carry-on is, the faster you'll get through security and the fewer things you'll have to unpack if there's an inspection. 2. Make a smart mini checklist. Before you close your bag, go over this. Important documents, passport, visa, cards, reservations, electronic devices, laptop, phone, chargers. A change of light clothes, in case of delays or lost luggage. Personal medications. Valuable or fragile items you don't want to check in. A clear bag with liquids under 100 milliliters. Anything that doesn't fit on this list, think twice about bringing it. Third, use organizers and smart bags. A small organizer for cables, one for documents, and a Ziploc-style bag for liquids can make all the difference when going through security. Also, avoid throwing everything in all mixed up. If your suitcase looks like a mess, chances are they'll make you open it. Bonus, if you travel often, always keep your flight kit ready with everything you know is approved. You'll save time and avoid careless mistakes. Fourth, dress for the airport, not for the photo. This tip isn't about fashion, it's about strategy. Wear the clothes that take up the most space. Thick jackets, boots, scarves. Anything you can wear on you saves space inside your suitcase. Plus, if your luggage is at the weight or size limit, that little trick can save you from a surprise fee at boarding. Fifth, always check with the airline and your destination. There's no universal rule. Every country and every airline has its own set of policies. So before you fly, check the dimensions and weight of your carry-on luggage. Look up the prohibited items for your destination country. If you're bringing something unusual, message them on social media or email. It's better to ask than to lose something. If you found this guide helpful, share it with someone who's about to travel. They'll thank you when they get through the airport without any problems. Remember, your carry-on bag is your cabin companion, not your personal storage unit. Travel light, travel prepared, and above all, travel informed.